All right, so this one says a flare is fired from the bottom of a gorge and is visible only when the flare is above the rim. Whoops, I gotta move that out of the way. And if it is fired at an initial velocity of 112 feet per second and the gorge is 192 feet deep, during what interval can the flare be seen? All right, so this is a little more challenging than I thought. So let's draw a picture first, and then we'll go from there. So let me show you guys as I draw this picture here. So my information says that a flare is fired from the bottom of a gorge. So I'm going to draw like this gorge. And it says that the initial velocity is equal to 112 feet per second. Okay. And it's only visible when it's above the rim. And so how far is the gorge? So from here down to here, it's 192 feet. Okay. So what interval is basically what we... So, all right. So there's a guy. And he's firing a flare. So the flare is going to come up. But nobody could see it because he's down in this gorge. So if there are people laying on the ground and they're looking in this direction, they can't see it unless it crosses above the rim of the gorge. So what we want to know using the following equation, the height, which is equal to negative 16 times t squared, plus the initial velocity times t plus the initial height, when is that going to be above 192? Well, there's two ways to do this problem. The initial height of the flare is actually 192 feet below the gorge. So I could say negative 16 times t squared plus the initial velocity, which is 112 times t, minus 192. I could do it that way. And then probably solve for when it's above 0. In other words, I want to figure out when this is above 0. So for now, I'm just going to say that set it equal to 0. And so let's graph it. So this is what we're working with. All right, this is what we're working with. This is what we're interested in. And we want to figure out when that graph is above 0. Now, we're very lucky in the fact that... Oh, gotta change my mode here. I was doing a little parametric graphing earlier. All right, so we're going to say negative 16, and I'm just going to use x squared because that's what the calculator says, plus 112 times x minus 192. And I'm going to come and I'm going to choose a zoom fit, which is option 0 in your window in your zoom menu. And that'll automatically adjust it so I could kind of see my graph. And so what I'm interested in here is when will it be visible? When will it cross that threshold? So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Let me choose zoom in. And I'm going to come up here. Oh man, that's going to take a long time to do it that way, isn't it? Maybe t. Let's figure out what some of this x value stuff is. All right, so I think if I let x go from 0 to 10, we're good. And if I let my y min value, let's make that 0. Whoops. Let's make that 0. And I don't know what the max is, so we'll make it 10. And we'll just graph it and see. So I'm trying to zoom in right where the graph comes just above the line. Okay, good. Now I'm going to stretch this out. This looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to zoom in. Again, I'm going to go from like 1 to 5 in the x direction. And that should help me kind of zoom right in on this graph. There it is. So what I'm interested in is, when does this occur? When do I have this 0 here? Well, one way to figure it out is if I hit second calc, or second trace, that takes me to the calc menu. I can let the calculator calculate the zeros, and we'll do this by hand in a second. But hey, look, on the curve, when x equals 3, y equals 0. So that was kind of given to me. That was easy. And let's go over here. Let's calculate the other one. Oh, it's already given to me when, so 3 and 4 is where it occurs. Okay. And now I suppose if I look in the table of values, anything above 3 but below 4 will work. So in other words, what I just found is that when t is less than or equal to 3, less than or equal to 4, then that's what, well, maybe the equal thing, I'm not quite sure. We might want it above 3 and below 4, so we might not include the equal sign, okay? So let's verify that. From 3 to 4, yep, that's the right answer.